first time, babe. I've been loving every time I could call you mine. I don't know why I'm being the one feeling stupid. I'm feeling stupid now. No. So now it's time for the goodbyes. Everything dies for the sunrise. Oh, you're alive. It's time for the goodbyes. Everything dies for the sunrise. Oh, you're alive. I'm gonna shut my mouth when you say what's on your mind. I can see the pain in your eyes. First I'm left, then I'm right. Don't know how to keep my calm. Baby, don't you tell your lies.
Welcome back, FOF fans. We're back for the last game of the day, featuring Wet Team versus Cloud9. Once again, it's Ultravox and Joshi bringing you the action. Joshi, what do you make of this one?
Well, it is worth noting yet again that we have a bunch of subs coming in, right? Once week, no long. I mean, this team has had so many changes so far over the regular season, right? Wet has had once week play in the jungle. They played in the support role. Tevo was playing previously, but now they're bringing a Nexus to come in at the support role. And also, Sheikah Blinder is going to be making a repeat performance in the jungle coming out. And as always, you cannot let Cloud9's support play Bard. It's a one trick. And we're still looking for them to show that they can actually play other champions.
Yeah,
I'm going to flame him because he's good. But you can only play Bard.
Yeah, I mean, something has to transfer, right? I know Bard's unique, but there's got to be some character that does something Bard-like, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, right? Everybody has been a big Cloud9 fan.
Of course.
I'm a big Cloud9 fan. I really want them to do well. But one of the big things that we've been seeing is because they're so new as a competitive fives roster, we're not necessarily seeing a whole lot of macro play. And unfortunately, compared to a lot of the other teams in Heroic, their individual members aren't necessarily having a lot of success, right? Music Boy and I Throw Meeps, again, formerly CEO of Bard, are their highest ranked players, I believe, and they're not necessarily smashing any lanes, right? They haven't showcased that they can really build themselves up large leads in order to make up for the fact that the top half of the map isn't quite as strong.
Yeah, gotta say, I've also noticed a pretty distinct lack of coordination from Cloud9 as well. Just unfortunate. I'm sure it can get better as they keep on playing together, but for now, they will continue to struggle as their 0-5 streak continues here. Looking for that first dub. We got Aatrox picked up for Wet Team as the bans finish up. Zilean selected, most likely going to the support role, I believe, and Gnar as the Aatrox counter pick.
It's an interesting counter pick, right? This matchup has seen a lot of iteration over the years. Right now, I'm definitely in the Aatrox favorite side of it, especially if you go the Eclipse style of build. Just because Gnar is just so weak early on in the game, right? He just does no damage. And so Bacon Pancakes has been one of the best members of the teams that he's been on, right? He's played on Wet, he's played on Girl, he played on another team, I think it was SKL previously before that, right? We've seen so many different iterations where Bacon Pancakes was one of the strongest members of the roster. And now he's given a champion to have a lot of potential success with the Olaf coming through in the jungle as well. We've seen this piloted a little bit by In the Trees, currently the most successful Heroic team. But I don't really think it was like the reason why they won, right? Even with the Zilean on top of it, it was struggling to find a lot of impact. And so instead, I'm going to be curious what else Cloud9 is going to be bringing to really allow this Olaf to take off.
Yeah, going back to that In the Trees game with the Olaf, there was also the crit build, which I'm really not a fan of either.
Yeah.
Even if you do have the Zilean, you still just die in 1 second. You can't really get in there and hit.
It does more damage if it's allowed to hit. Right, if you're going into like 3-4 melee champions who are going to stand and fight you, the crit Olaf will do more damage. But if you're not hitting, you're useless, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's
you're
just an
dead.
FF, like, please, please, let me do anything. So the Zillion was kind of like their stopgap measure. But again, in that game, we were saying that He Who Slops was so focused on making sure that Kenny Hammer Spike was going to have success that we never really saw the coordination come through there. And so, returning back to this draft, as we do see Wet Team, their composition, like, all of these characters are good, but I don't really feel as though they're particularly cohesive, right? You have Aatrox, who really wants to go forward, wants to play up against a lot of melee champions. Tristana has some early game power that they have, and the Blitzcrank is kind of like this wild card that you often have. But so far, members of Cloud9, like, it's not the easiest thing to pull any of them, especially after seeing the Zillion. And if you just pull the Olaf, even if you kill them instantly, they should be able to get a revive.
Yeah, gonna depend a lot on iThroMeep's reaction times there. We're gonna have to see if he's fast enough. Draft's starting to get rounded out here. Vi and Vladimir, 2 V champs picked up for Wet Team, finishing up their selection. Cloud9, they have Draven, following up with the big move speed theme they have going on. The last pick should be a mid lane pick for Gonza, unless they're going to be sending that Zillion in there. And we have a LeBlanc. Not a lot of FOF players play LeBlanc. I love this.
See if it actually gets locked in. It's definitely a spot where good LeBlanc play does beat Annie, but instead, Gun is going to be going over towards Lissandra. Okay, now, one of the big criticisms I had of Cloud9 and something that I hope that we can see them fix is I want to see more balls on them, right? Like, one of the things that you oftentimes look at is if you are an underdog team and you go in as the underdog team, the expectation is like, oh, we're probably going to lose. We have to play safe. You're going to lose that every time, right? Like, you cannot play in a competitive environment to not lose unless you are already the better team, right? This is a situation where I was watching Cloud9. They built up a pretty big lead. I think this was actually up against in the trees where they were playing Diana Lissandra, and both these champions are so good at getting fights started. They're so good at blowing people up. You go in, use one ultimate, you sets up for the other one, and then you just reset with Lissandra over and over again. And they didn't do that a single time, right? This is a spot where I'm going to be looking at Cheeky Blinders and Gonza in particular and say, look, I know you guys are trying to be going up against a lot of these teams. You're coming into these fives environments, and that's great. Now, don't leave anything on the table. This is your opportunity to try and take down, find your first win against another team, but you also got to do it relatively early on. You can't afford to let this game go late. You need to recognize that you were the beatdown. You need to make plays before this Vladimir becomes unkillable.
Vlad, yeah, very scary. I want to see Cloud9 channel the spirit of the cojones, like you're saying. I want to see him do it. Let's head on to the Rift and see what unfolds. Yeah, they do have the Tyler 1 characters. You know, they gotta do it. They got the Olaf, the Draven. They gotta step forward.
Yeah, and already it's the Blitzcrank. You should always be expecting something kind of cheeky to come through, and a Nexus. Not quite spotted. They did spot people moving in the mid lane. They definitely spot him now as they throw the ward out on the other side, but a Nexus not necessarily going to be throwing out anything just quite yet. And so, to paint a more specific picture looking at this game, right, the way that Cloud9's composition works is they have the Lissandra who spikes on one item. You have Draven who really wants to be bullying around early on in the game. You have the Olaf who really relies on their 1 to 2 item spikes. But then you look on the other side, and you see Vladimir, who fucking sucks on one item. You have Tristana, who is about as useful as nipples on a man, right? Like, these characters cannot fight on one item. And so Cloud9 really needs to take control. They're going to be looking to find the first, second, and hopefully a third dragon. And if they aren't ahead by the time the third dragon spawns, it's probably going to be a wet victory.
You do love that line, huh?
I do. Shout out to Cyanide and Happiness.
That's a classic. That's a classic. But yeah, the Nexus, is he gonna try to pull this here? Just mess up the clear. Instead, he gets Cheeky Blinders. He's got to walk over to the blast cone. Luckily, that does exist. Music Boy, the homie, tanking the blue buff, making sure it doesn't reset. Does make Nexus a little bit late to the lane, though. Cannot step in. Will get zoned out by the C9 bot lane duo.
Yeah, we'll have to see how much experience was actually missed out by Music Boy and iThroMeeps, because the experience differential, if it goes over to Tristana, is a huge boon towards the side of Wet. Remember, they don't necessarily need to do anything early on in the game, but if they do find individual laning leads, and it basically secures their win. And so once we get a Nexus, if they can start looking for these opportunities to be aggressive, you already noticed that Music Boy is still not level 2. If once we get a Nexus can just go, that could be a really strong opportunity.
I
It's
feel
too
like
late.
you as Blitzcrank, you flash hook there every single time when your Tristana's on 2 and Draven's on 1. Like, that's the window. That's what you got to do. But
It.
yeah, a Nexus does not have the killer instinct, doesn't want to try to push the tempo here. Instead,
Yeah.
will be a little bit slower, much to the dismay once we end on the Tristana.
So, with the primary window gone for once we get in Nexus, we'll start shifting our attention towards the top side of the map, right? We see both junglers clearing up here. Black Venom only doing his 4th camp, whereas Cheeky Blinders is already done for, going to be starting up on the Raptors. And we'll look at where the push is coming in, right? Bacon Pancakes has created a little bit more space up in the top side. It can more easily come down to help Black Venom secure this crab, and it means that Cheeky Blinder, even though he's on this Olaf, is not likely to actually find some success in these first couple of ganks.
Yeah, we'll run into Black Venom up there, but it's just a formality. The crab's already gone. Looks like they're both moving towards the bot side. I know who I favor in a 2v2 right now if it comes down to this Scuttle Crab scuffle. We've also got bot priority too, so
yeah,
Black Venom oversteps here could be real bad.
And so I'm actually curious what you know about a lot of these players, because I know Bacon Pancakes has been playing with us for a long time, but I'm pretty sure everybody in Cloud9 is new to the FOF scene.
Yeah, I've never really seen any of these players before at all. I'm pretty sure this is an entirely brand new team, so their debut season, trying to make a name for themselves in it. It could be going a little bit better for them, but big credit to Trident.
Yeah. Oh,
there's the hook. Gets Music Boy. Will take a lot of damage from this explosive charge here. Jump has the reset, but will not be following it up. Instead takes a little bit more damage from these time bombs.
So even though they don't get the kill, they get a lot of damage onto Music Boy, and so another hook can mean that they will find that kill, and Black Venom is already down here. The jungles have been mirroring each other, and as they start moving towards the bottom side of the map, remember, Black Venom gets access to an effective ult at level 1 with Flash Q.
Yeah, definitely. Might be looking for it here. There's the hook. It does land. Q misses, though, and once we drops pretty low here, take it with the Ignite. Music Boy steps forward. Will find the first blood when combined with I Throw Meep's Ignite, but he will pay the price for it. Doesn't cash in on the Adoration stacks either. That kind of feels bad.
That was one of the worst possible situations to come out for the side of Cloud9, right? You saw, as you called out, Music Boy step forward trying to get the Adoration stacks, but they don't get it. They end up going down with both their flash and their exhaust up. There is already a kill going on until once week, and so as I Throw Meeps gets a little bit more gold, they're not finding anything but Cheeky Blinders top.
Yeah, gets the slow here onto Bacon Pancakes, forces the flash out. The job she did not really close enough to contribute too much. Instead, Bacon Pancakes expends the flash, but does get to live.
So look at where Black Venom's currently hanging out at, right? Doing the dragon while we see everybody resetting coming out from the side of Cloud9, but Cloud9 sniffing it out. They should be able to put a stop to it.
Yeah, Black Venom escapes out of the back of the pit. No camps to clear on the bot side. Has to take the reset. Neither jungler actually has reset yet, so big money in the pockets of each of them, especially with the kill going over to Black Venom. Probably gets a pretty significant buy here. It will be Warhammer plus Health Crystal, so pretty big skirmishing power coming in.
Yeah, that could go into a lot of different options at this point. We'll see what it is that Black Venom wants to actually do, but again, I want to look towards the mid lane, because Charu has been one of the players that I have also been rather impressed with. Even, I think Charu is a name that we've seen in previous FOF seasons, but I didn't play against them, so I don't necessarily have the strongest recollection. But Charu has been a player that has been very strong at making their own leads. You know, I was looking at AWE, and nobody was really able to go for flanks before, but Charu has been one of these players who, you know, to put it frankly, plays super greedy. He's always looking for these flags. He just plays for the dopamine rush every single time he finds his way to the back line. And on a character like Vlad, this is one of the best times to try and make that happen, to really put the hurt on Music Boy.
100%, 100%. You love to see those Vlad one-shots. Only if you're on the Vlad's team, though. It feels terrible as the AD carry. I do love seeing a nice greedy player. You know, at least they know what they want to do. I will always, always, always prefer that to players that just kind of sit back and see where the game takes them.
Yeah. calling out you, Clovis. But anyway, we do have
Oh,
the big moment could come through. We do have the confirmation. Both Charu and Once Week played on Team Yup in Season 2, well before either of us were a part of the FOF community, and Black Venom was a support for Girl back in Season 4. That was the season that I played, but I don't know if I ever played against them. I think I actually missed both of the Girl matches that we played.
oh, you didn't get subbed out. That sucks.
At least one of them. Wait, no, that's a lie. I did play. We role swapped at least one of those games
Oh, okay,
because
okay.
we Rafa wanted to play Olaf with a Yumi on top of him, and I was like, okay, well, the other option was like, okay, well, Kled from Zen Zen like single-handedly beats everything that Bacon Pancakes does in the top side of the map, and so we just had him play that, and so I just ended up playing Syndra mid.
Hey, whatever works. You give Rafa what makes him happy, and I'm sure he was just tearing through people.
Rafa was very happy, for sure. But we're already seeing right now, remember, we set this up where if Cloud9 is behind by the time the third dragon spawn, they're probably going to be in a situation where the game is unrecoverable. This Lissandra hasn't yet had an opportunity to leave the lane. They've only been able to get a single back off. And Charu, I mean, look at the damage he's already able to do because there's no mana left on Gonza. Gonza's going to have to reset in order to try and find another opportunity, but it's not going to get easier if Cheeky Blinder comes in. Charu's already so far ahead of the curve that they should be the dominant force in this game.
Yeah, no teleport left either for Gonza. Has to just walk on back. Finally has the last chapter, though, so we'll help with the mana issues like you mentioned. I think this might be the time that they really want to start looking for the dragon here. It is up. It is available. Bacon Pancakes tries to get something out of the Java she dated, but top laners are still just slugging each other back and forth. Interestingly, small CS lead, or actually pretty significant CS lead for Bacon Pancakes here.
Yeah. And while we look at that, while we wait to see what teams are actually going to go for what objectives, I'm actually curious how you feel a lot of the, in particular, like 80 carries have been shaking out in this season of Heroic. Because I really highly rate MXL, but I don't feel as though there's any 80 carry that has been the complete package.
Yeah, I thought MXL looked pretty damn good in that last game. I have been watching Music Boy, have casted one or two of his games. Kind of lacks a little bit of the patience that's necessary for ADC. Kind of steps up in places that he definitely shouldn't be in. Few little things that could be ironed out there. Just being a patient team fighter. That's what it's all about. That's what you always tell me. So,
Yeah.
Would like to see that a little bit more.
And so, with that in mind, we are already seeing a fight in top lane.
Yeah, Gnar to push Bacon Pancakes back. We'll get the health bar pretty low here. One more rock throw, drops into about 100 HP, and the wallop combined with the flash finishes off Bacon Pancakes. Get C9 a kill for the top laner.
Nice. Well played from Jawa. We see Bacon Pancakes really greedy with the ultimate there, not getting extra move speed, not getting extra healing, but at the same time, both junglers bottom.
Yeah, here it is. This could be the all-out brawl. Stand aside will keep C9 safe. Now, here's the hook. Gets Music Boy in, exhaust immediately on a once week though. The Draven ultimate will finish off the Tristana. Zillion ultimate not required either. No chrono shift needed. And now here's the Olaf. Vi on just a little bit more HP. Cheeky Blinders finding that one. Now we got Vladimir, the next challenger. Charu seeing what they can do, seeing if they can get onto Music Boy. Hook will land. Smite comes in though for the HP. Lissandra finally arrives on the scene, but Bacon Pancakes takes him on down. Chasing down Cheeky Blinders 2. It was a great movement to walk the Aatrox down into this fight. Now it seems like it's firmly in Wet's favor.
Wet should be able to move everybody off the map, but what a chaotic fight. So many people coming in at different times. Ultimates thrown out all over the place, but the core thing, Music Boy cashed in. He got so much money because he's been stacking up this entire time. Gets the kill, and look at that. Instantly the richest player on the map. Nearly 1,000 gold out of everybody else. This Draven needs to be able to actually continue spiraling this game out of control, because again, they're going up against a ticking time bomb of the Vladimir. Eventually, Vladimir just one-shots everybody on your team, and it doesn't really matter that you have the Zillion ultimate, because Zillion will also be dead, right? You have to pick. You can only save one person when Vlad goes to one-shot 3 players. But Wet still slightly, doing okay, a little bit behind. But as long as they aren't super far behind, it's okay. You have to remember they're on Vlad Tristana. They can't take fights right now. They just have to rely on the fact that they scale.
Yeah, and this next dragon fight will be
They're doing it anyway.
big decider. They decide they want to contest anyway, and might be another solo kill on top side. Bacon Pancakes, though, popping the ultimate early this time. Took your criticism. Chrono Shift comes out, will pick back up. Cheeky Blinder immediately goes into Ragnarok 2, steals away the dragon, gets a Nexus, but will fall down. Kill going over to Charu. On the top side, a solo kill as well. Another one for the Jawa she dated. Wow.
Wow, so much fighting going on at the same time. Jawa again finding yet another solo kill going up against Bacon. He's just playing it better. It doesn't feel as though Bacon Pancakes is as confident in playing out this matchup, but very aggressive. Ends up going down yet another time to Jawa. But on the other side of the map, we see a dragon getting picked up by Cloud9, and also a couple kills going their way. So this is definitely an opportunity for them to try and play this game out. The ultimate's still there from Gonza.
They want to look for it, off forward, but saying win pool allows Charu to start getting away here. Manages to stay safe, and the game certainly has taken, excuse me, a dramatic turn in the favor of C9. It looks like they're starting to widen the gold lead just a little bit here. 1K, almost 2K. Looking pretty good for them. Moving up, excuse me, over the Rift Herald here.
Yeah. I mean, the play from Cloud9 doing a good job going for a lot of the basics. They just group up for the Dragon. Unfortunately missed the Smite, but they still find some opportunities for fights. At the same time, as they go towards the top side, as they pick up a Rift Herald, I mean, they do find themselves about 1,500 gold ahead. A lot of that is concentrated on Music Boy, but the coordination is still something where we're seeing a lot of players funnel in. This is a lot like 100 Thieves Academy, actually, who I was consistently talking about, right? During the mid-game, it feels like a lot of their decisions are just kind of, let's all just group up and flip it, right? And I feel as though Cloud9 is in a very similar situation. They can just kind of group up and flip it, because the situation doesn't necessarily get better the longer the game goes. They want to abuse the fact that once week on this Tristana doesn't have a completed item yet, and Music Boy's on an item and a half.
Yeah, Essence Reaver plus the Dirk, so much damage available. If you're Cheeky Blinders here, you got two fantastic options for this Rift Herald, two great dives here. Bacon Pancakes, level 9, so far behind, will be the target, it looks like. Rift Herald might be coming down to top. Now we got Black Venom waiting the wings here. Here's the hook, a Nexus finds Music Boy trying to get away. Chrono Shift will come out, but it will be not looking too good. There's the cease and desist, following that up. Rocket jump straight into the face of the Draven. Black Venom takes him down.
Bit of a disaster coming through as Black Venom finds the shutdown coming in onto Music Boy. Maybe not a shutdown, but at least the kill, preventing him from building up even more Adoration stacks. But Bacon Pancakes still not able to find an opportunity for this fight in the top side. And so Wet, again, they don't need to find all of these leads, but they can consistently do it. They have the suppression coming through from Black Venom, and the hook will always pull members into an awkward position. So, you know, as Wet is still starting to build up a couple more kills for themselves, I'm really liking the way that Black Venom has adapted. I was very unimpressed with them last week, but now that they are getting a little bit more jungle repetitions, I believe they were lane swapping from a different role. Now that they're starting to figure out the role a little bit more, they've been looking quite a bit better.
Certainly, yeah. Making plays happen all over the map. Knowing where they got to target to, try to get this Tristana ahead, try to get the scaling rolling on at least a character that has a smoother curve than Vlad. I really like the focus down on the bot side. And although the Rift Herald went over, although the Dragon went over, there's still a lot more room to take things up. Now the Jawa she dated getting aggressive again, really putting the hurt onto Bacon Pancakes. There's the flash hook, though, onto Music Boy. Caught in a bad spot. Has to get on out of here. Double bomb. Results in a double stun. Once we get slowed down. And here comes Cheeky Blinder. Buster shot pushes Music Boy away, but the whirling death finishes off Once Week. Nexus dead to the Viking. Cheeky Blinders with a great gank.
And now they're going to start setting up to take down this turret. Again, Cloud9 focusing towards the bottom side of the map. Azilian scale as well. Music Boy very far ahead once again as this turret. They funnel even more gold. And as long as they back in time, they should be able to fight for this dragon. They picked up the first Ocean Dragon. They're still looking to scale that through. If they find a whole soul off of this game, it can really match a lot of scaling tools coming out from Wet.
100%, yeah. Dragon Soul is always one of the win conditions for these early game teams. You just get a huge
Teleport.
ball of stats, a teleport in the backside, Bacon Pancakes looking to redeem himself here. He's in position. World Ender comes out, puts a lot of damage into Music Boy, gets slammed down, Chrono Shift, but still in the middle of 4 people here. Ragnarok tries to help Cheeky Blinders get away, but he will get slammed down from the Darkened Blade. Next up will be the Zillion. I throw Meeps barely trying to get away here. A lot of damage from Gonza onto Charu in the mid lane, but here's the empowered Q, and it's such a big health swing. Charu finding the solo kill.
And there you go, a big play coming up from Web. Bacon Pancakes finds his way, even though the 1v1 hasn't been a win for him. He's able to move down towards the bottom lane. And just as we were saying, Cloud9, they pick up the bottom lane turret. That's worth 2 kills worth the gold. But you give over more than that just in terms of the kills that you got, and you are no longer picking up the dragon. We're firmly in a position where the game is relatively even. Charu is now starting to come online, has the Hextech Proto Belt, and it's only a matter of time now before Wet start recognizing the power that they have and start toppling some of these structures.
Absolutely. Wet being even, so good for them, right? They just don't want to fall behind. The fact that they're able to keep up and make these plays to make that big TP flank, big credit to them for staying strong through this, knowing that they're hanging on and doing even more on top of that to keep themselves in this game.
Something that we didn't even look at was the fact that Jawa still hasn't gotten this wave underneath the turret. They did no damage to the structure while Bacon Pancakes teleported to the bottom lane. No response coming out from Jawa, and so as people start moving towards the top side, but to potentially take another fight, Jawa, still not quite on the Trinity Force, is in a very awkward position in terms of the power spikes. This Eclipse should allow Bacon Pancakes to take some pretty strong trades just because of the fact that you get a shield every time you hit the QW.
Certainly, yeah. Pit stop for the Bramble Vest really helps in the 1v1, and that's all really that Jawa's been doing, so no big contributions to the team so far. Maybe going to help out with this next Rift Herald when that comes up if Cheeky wants to go for that.
There's no time. It's going to be Baron.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right, even though the Herald, I think, technically spawns, nobody's going to actually have time to try and take it down, but the lane swaps are starting to come through, right? You take your bottom lane, you put it in the mid lane. Tristana, definitely way happier here where they can start to do damage and start rotating out. The dives that can come out from Tristana are much more impressive than the ones that can come out from the Draven just because of how much more speed you have when walking around the map.
Yeah, you have the reach, too. You're able to rocket jump into these hard to get to spots. Speaking of hard to get to spots, Bacon Pancakes is in one of them. Blinders backing up his little Yordle buddy. A lot of healing, though, coming in from Bacon Pancakes. This is one of the strengths of the Aatrox. Can't quite turn around all the way. It's going to be so tough. Gonza, so many members of C9 around the Herald, around the Baron Pit here. Nexus might be looking for a hook. They've got Charu, Black Venom, ready to bolster their forces, but nothing else really to be found. Yeah, not starting that Herald. Will go down. Will turn into Baron. Instead, the top lane turret is the target.
So this is actually another opportunity here for Wed to try and find something while the forces of Cloud9 are arrayed across the map. This turret is so healthy that they should be able to pick up the mid lane, potentially dive.
Yeah, Charu's so aggressive here. Proto Belt's forward. Puts a nice chunk of damage into Music Boy. Might heal that up off the wave with the Vampiric Scepter, but still will hurt. And now they get some nice dominance in this jungle, starting to take away these camps, deny the resources from Cheeky Blinders. This is exactly what you want to see when you've got your whole team around here.
What is he doing? Okay, he's looking for a hunt, right? He stopped his back to try and make something happen, but Cloud9, as we look towards the next dragon, which should be spawning in about 2 minutes, this is going to be Cloud9's real last opportunity to find themselves a lead that could win them the game. It has been a situation where they do have Charu online. Once Week is in a position where they are almost going to be doing enough damage to try and contest with a lot of the other players on Cloud9, and they really need to make sure that the fight doesn't come through. So Jawa needs to come down, help out the rest of the team. We'll see how effectively Charu actually creates space for Once Week, because if he doesn't, Once Week is just going to die.
Definitely, yeah. Need to try to protect the Tristana. Need to hope they don't just throw their life away and rocket jump into everybody too, but that's a completely different story.
Jump.
Yeah, it's dopamine, right? It's like we saw with the Nexus. There's things that are hard coded when you play these champions. You gotta look for the hooks at all times. You gotta be rocket jumping into people. You gotta just do it. You gotta go.
You gotta go, and Charu's definitely that dopamine player too, right? They already got the Zhonya's Hourglass completed, and so this team start to jockey for mid lane priority a little bit. Notice how much more vision Cloud9 has devoted to the river already, but all of that can be undone in a split second by the Nexus, and the Nexus has been doing a fantastic job locking down Music Boy and a lot of the ganks, but now, as the only person here, they gotta be careful they don't get picked themselves.
Yeah, hook could come in. Could be pretty deadly if they're able to find the right target. I throw Meeps and Cheeky Blind just waiting in the bush, but they get pushed out. And Bacon Pancake still on the top side, has the TP available, needs to use it before the fight breaks out though. We have Black Venom finally joining the main squad too. Yeah. No flanks still. You can still criticize him for that in this game.
I can read the timer. I actually can't tell if that's a 47 or like a... Oh, okay. Almost any second now. Okay.
Okay, almost coming up. Dragon spawns. Bacon Pancakes needs to start TPing right now, or else it might be bad. Here's the engagement. Cheeky Blinders starting to get on in there. Zillion Speed helps him out with that, chasing Wet away through the mid lane. There's the teleport, but it's pretty late.
The flank.
Bacon Pancakes might be by himself. But look at how many he's caught with the Darkened Blade here. Gets that nice knock-up, but he will be falling down. It's Gonza that gets the first kill here, setting up these thralls. Huge Nard to try to pick off a Nexus. Music Boy, though, alongside the rest of his team, they're so low on the HP bars. Charu trying to take over this fight. It will look good. Once Week has the kills, triple kill also for Charu, and Wet obliterates C9.
Oh, where was this, AWE? This is the kind of fights I was wanting you to take the entire time, but we already see Bacon Pancakes. He starts to move in. He blows up everybody in the fight, but crucially, Charo is able to move around this fight basically with impunity because he keeps himself so healthy. He's able to just kind of pick off a lot of these other players while Once Week just does DPS, but this hook coming up from a Nexus actually is a huge fight changer. Just keeping Charu alive in that fight, preventing Music Boy from finding the last little bit of damage to find the next adoration cash-in, allows Wet to walk in after this dragon with such a massive advantage that Charu is going to be able to win this game.
Yeah, just straight up, man. It's a 5-1 Vlad. Very well farmed for this stage of the game, too. Oh, goddamn, if I'm on C9, I'm shaking in my boots.
So this is where we start looking at them yet again, right? We were saying that they needed to really find their confidence, grow some balls, and start looking for these aggressive fights. They tried to make it happen, but Wet was too good at just trying to kite away. They don't have any primary engage, and Gonza, who's probably the best thing that they've got in terms of actually getting these fights started, has been slow, very reactive. It feels as though the rest of the team has been helping them try and make plays, but as they start to get better, as they start getting used to more fights, we can start expecting Gonza will be able to make that decision on their own.
Yeah, Gonza just couldn't really find anything to start it off. It's just so tough, so tough. No, I throw Meeps playing around with Bacon Pancakes here, giving him some bombs. A big opportunity to push and pressure Baron. They've got Charu parked in the bot side, though, so strongest member not present once again. Bacon Pancakes trying to find I throw Meeps, but the speed will help him get out of there. Nexus also stepping up pretty far. Very questionable, but it's fine. No worries.
It's fine. Everybody's going to be all right. And so now the big thing from Wet is because they're a dragon ahead at 3 dragons, because they have such insane split push pressure coming in from Charu, they can actually just not fight for the Baron. They don't need to do that. They can just allow Charu to create pressure on the sidelines, because it's not as though Wet are suddenly so strong that they can just take whatever fight they want. They still need to be intelligent about the way that they fight, but oh my god.
I don't know. I think Charu has something to say about that. He's just doing whatever he wants. He's behind the turret now, and they can't do a damn thing to him. He will go golden here. Chrono Shift picks up
the stun?
But Gonza, this could be huge, actually. Look at the turnaround. Kill onto Charu, taking away their strongest member. A Nexus falls as well. Maybe you're right. He can't do whatever he wants.
They can't do whatever they want just quite yet, right? They are still very weak compositionally. They still have Once Week on 2 items. They don't have the Infinity Edge. They don't have the 3rd item coming out from Tristana. They don't do that much damage. But the fact that Charu is this far ahead, the fact that they have the confidence to do this, actually baits the rest of Wet. And if Cloud9 are playing this well, they should be able to secure the Baron off of it, because so many players are off the map.
Yeah, they're at the stage of the game where it's pretty sizable respawn timers too. Gonza really coming in clutch. Bacon Pancakes now the last member of Wet alive. Snaps back. I throw Meeps. They gotta put this DPS
Gotta commit.
on the Baron, though. They are missing Music Boy. It's so hard for them to do it quickly. Bacon
They gotta
has a
commit.
massive window. Gnar goes wide. He cannot find anything here. Bacon Pancakes now with the World Ender just going straight on in. Gonza shut down. And Bacon Pancakes try to find the 1v4, but he does fall eventually. Denied the Baron, though. Absolutely critical for Wet.
Yeah, great stuff coming in from Bacon Pancakes to find the shutdown. He got way more gold than he gave over, and stopping the Baron, it's such a difficult position for Cloud9, right? Because as you called out, Music Boy's not there. Their DPS isn't around, and so by buying more time, that buys at least another fight or two for Wet to kind of mess up before they're at risk of losing a lot of these plays. And as a Nexus just goes forward, I don't actually know if he wanted to land that hook. I'm pretty sure he would have had to use some summoner spells to get out.
Yeah, it's the Blitzkrieg instinct. You know, you always gotta go for it.
You see him, you gotta get him.
You gotta hook him. He's right there. I'm gonna just reach out and grab him, and that's exactly what happened. But yeah, they bought themselves a lot more time. We talked about free int cards in the last game. They've got at least a few in the bank here. Char, one hell of an insurance policy. Almost got that Rabadons with the 2 needlessly large rods in the inventory. That power spike, brutal. Has to keep looking for it. And the farm still very, very high.
Yeah, so as we start looking for ways for Cloud9 to come back, remember, they are on 4th Dragon with a deficit. It's harder for them to actually try and find some of these plays, but it should be around either this Baron or this Dragon. They're looking for Charu.
Yeah, Axe gonna land a little bit short, though. No slow on a Charu. Very unfortunate there. A Nexus. He's going for it, man. He gotta do it. But does not find anything. Instead, vision control re-established by C9. They're staying an awful long time, though. Bacon Pancakes finally arrives in the mid lane. You get the full strength, the full ARAM composition here.
So we start moving over towards the Dragon. It spawns in a little bit less than a minute. What's actually here too early, right? This is one of the things that you often have to look at. I always talk about getting to the Dragon first, making sure you control the choke points, but you can't do it at the cost of all the minions. I would love to see Wet go down towards the bottom lane, pick up the turret while they still have time, but instead they have a Blitzkrieg. You know, they can just kind of jerk off in this bush, waiting for somebody to walk forward, and then they can give them a handy.
God damn. Okay. All right. Yeah. Just a little surprise, touchy-feely there. Never see it coming. The jungle's completely dark too, so very difficult for C9 to step on up, receive the little bit of love that they might have coming to them.
Yeah, but this is it, right? They're here too early.
Bacon Pancakes gets the hook as well. A Nexus finding the Gnar. Chrono Shift comes out, will revive him. Gonza now with a great ultimate in the middle of everybody. Jawa, she dated, cannot get much done, but look at this. Such a smash fight for Wet. They're finding exactly what they need.
The double kill going over to Chara is what it looked like, right? They have so much control over this fight. The Blitzcrank starts it off, but nobody can get to one swing. They have to use all of their tools trying to get back. They have to try and run away, and Charu in the middle of the team instantly finds a ton of damage. And even though Jawa survives for a long time, never really gets the reset, never has the damage that they need to actually threaten One Week. And with One Week and Charu free hitting the entire fight, there's no way for C9 to win.
Absolutely not. No possible way. C9's hopes just getting dashed against the rocks here. Wet taking everything. They're about to have this third Drake on the soul point, and so far pushed into mid as well. Potentially even taking this inhibitor before the respawns come in. Can they even take a Nexus turret?
Taking a Nexus turret would be bold here. There is a Baron to play for, but they do end up picking up the inhib. They already got the third dragon, as you called out, and now they can just bait the members of C9 into fights around the Baron. But they are also trying to take the maximum. Look at the fact that they're taking all the camps off the board. Cheeky Blinder won't have anything to try and farm.
We saw them doing this earlier too. Great call here. Love this. Further resource denial. Just continues widening your lead. Now we got Char recalling. He's already got the Rabadons in his inventory. I want to see what he buys. He's probably got a crap load of money. Lightning Jewel for the extra pen, and there's nothing you're going to be able to do if you're C9. Got to reestablish the vision. Got to try to look for something. You have good pick potential with Lissandra. You need to try to find these isolated fights, though, and you need to not get picked off by this Blitzcrank.
That's a lot of things to ask for.
Yeah,
And
very tall orders.
Right, like, that's what we always say, like, if you don't have very many win conditions, that is the definition of losing, right? And this is a situation where Cloud9's win conditions are mostly Gonza picking somebody off, and they DPS them down before the rest of Wet can come through. And so far, Gonza, they had a fantastic play near their base gates on the top side of the map. But that was an overextension from Wet when you had 4 people getting caught in their route into the ultimate, all turning into frozen thralls. We haven't actually seen Gonza able to set anything up on their own, been very reactive thus far. And so, as they are pushed back in the mid lane as well, how do Cloud9 try and create some of these flanks? How do they try and create some of these picks? The big answer is how they actually establish vision control.
Of course, yeah. It's so difficult for them. They're always under threat of just a Nexus's pull. Makes it very hard to find spots to stand in to get this vision control here. Music Boy also has to just constantly attend this wave in the mid lane with the super minions pushing in. They're getting choked. They're getting hella choked.
Yeah. I actually just want to see Wet hit the Baron at this point, right? They win almost every fight that is reasonable as long as they clear out some of the vision and Charo is not just stuck hitting Cheeky, Blinder, and Jawa, then it's going to be a strong position for them. And so they're looking to set up a little bit of a bait, but they haven't necessarily cleared out all of the spaces that Cloud9 can come from. There's still a ward in the Baron pit, and so now that the ward is getting cleared, maybe they can try and make this bait happen, but they're also just going to be hitting.
Begin the assault on the Purple Worm. Got teleport coming in, it looks like, from Gonza. Will arrive at the fight. Bacon Pancakes holding on to his TP here. Charu is the front liner. There's the teleport right in the middle of everybody. Will send C9 running for the hills. Charu, though, so much damage. Tries to take down the Olaf, and it's massive. Bacon Pancakes finding the lot, but he will get just immediately blown up here. A Nexus, the next one to fall. Charu exhausted. That's what you need. You find the shutdown. Music Boy picks it up. Now they can take the Baron and put the hurt onto Wet.
We said Charu was a dopamine player. He's had a lot of dopamine at the beginning of this. Look how fast he goes trying to run them down. But unfortunately, when you run this fast, the rest of your team can't keep up. Bacon Pancakes is going in at a different time than Charu, and they try and take this fight, but you can't actually kill Lissandra fast enough, and once we get stuck hitting the front line. So Wet, they still have plenty more time to try and turn around these fights, but just as we were seeing with AWE, you got to make sure you're taking fights that make sense. You can't be running headlong into the enemy team because now you're going to be getting over the Baron, and if Dragon spawns soon enough, Cloud9 can prevent this ult.
Yeah.
Unless...
So cool here, but Black Venom, he's lurking. He's got just like 1 HP in the tank. Will he go for it? Nope, just decides to back. No cojones on this guy either.
Yeah. He's done pretty well. He just went headlong at the enemy team. He's got a little bit of cojones coming through. Unfortunately,
small.
You got to share them with Charu. Charu's been wearing them for a little while, and so
Charu's waving them around, man. He's
waving them
flapping.
around, flapping them all over the place. Unfortunately, sometimes they are so big they got in his face he couldn't see what was going on in that last fight. But now, Cloud9, this is one of their big opportunities to try and find some more space on the map. Again, I'm looking at Gonza, one of the new mid laners that we have had coming into the season. Gonna have to be the player who's going to be making plays happen. Other than that, it's going to be on Jawa, right? Jawa can create enough space that if you find that first reset, you find that first frozen thrall, suddenly the fight looks a lot better.
100%, yeah. All going to be dependent on these resets. Jawa also has to maintain the careful job of managing the Gnar bar too. It's tough when you're side laning because then, you have to be hitting these minions. At least there's no supers in the waves he's attending, and he can have a little bit more control over that. But just still another little mini game for him to play makes it just slightly more complicated.
So, as they start setting up a little bit more pressure, they are trying to go with this 4-1 look for some siege opportunity, but looks like their main focus is going to be on the Dragon, right? They haven't been fast pushing this. They're not necessarily using Jawa to consistently create a lot of pressure, and so Cloud9 will have to try and pick up this Dragon. If they get the Cloud Soul, I don't even know if that wins them the game, right? Just because of how long the game has gone on. It's not nearly as large of a lead as we were looking at previously, and you already see the pings coming through from Wet. They're saying, well, if they're going to play for the Dragon, we're going to play for the mid inhibitor.
They're just charging straight at him. Charu, once again, just leading this off. So menacing there. Exhaust not available again, so... Any engagement could be absolutely fatal. We have C9 moving their way through the bot side. We have Music Boy and the W3D2 pretty far out from the fight. Music Boy won't be able to make it for a while. This is a really bad fight for C9 here if they choose to take it.
Oh.
It will be going over the Dragon Soul to Wet anyway, and they just have free reign over this. Music Boy isn't anywhere close to contribute, and that makes it just so one-sided here. Charu, it's got free reign. Ignite's ticking. Will it be able to do enough? Wallop comes out, and the Gnar misses. Doesn't matter, though. Actually turns out being a lot more even than I expected. That's very, very good for C9.
Yet again, Charu going so deep for this play, ends up going down, and Music Boy picking up the big shot down, also getting the cash in, but finding themselves the Cloud Soul. And here again, we see a lot of members going back and forth. Gonza trying to make their way back in, and as you called out, Music Boy not able to hit. But because Once Week leaves and Charu's on the opposite side of the fight, not able to find that last bit of damage, instantly gets crit with the Sheen proc coming through as well. And so Wet not definitively winning the team fight, but they do get the Dragon Soul.
Yeah, big credit to iThrow Meep there. He might have stepped down as the CEO, but man, he had an executive level stun. Beautiful to stall out Char just a little bit longer and make sure they could secure the kill on a Bacon Pancakes too. Bacon Pancakes looking real squishy, opting for the Surrealness instead of something like a Death's Dance. I wonder if that could have helped out.
I mean, maybe. It's definitely a position where you're just trying to create as much chaos as possible. But Bacon Pancakes, right, we've seen a couple of times where he has underestimated how squishy he is in a lot of these fights, right? We saw it in the 1v1s going up against Jawa. We saw it in a couple of these last fights. Very reliant on actually landing your third Q in particular to heal up during a lot of these team fights. And we're not necessarily seeing Bacon Pancakes have the same kind of impact on this Aatrox that we've seen him have in a lot of his other games.
Yeah, well, he's had that one really good flank, still looking for some more, you know, also single-handedly stopped the Baron. He's been doing all right. Needs to continue finding a stride, though. Just gets blown up. We saw Gonza finally putting out some good damage here on the Shadow Flame with the Zhonya's in the pocket as well. Working the next item. Got Charu busting it down mid too. They want to put more pressure on this open inhib here, try to create the macro pressure advantage again. Does seem like they are looking for this bot lane turret as well.
Yeah, I mean, Wet has been dictating a lot of the plays in this game, and so Cloud9 have been trying to react as well as they can, and to their credit, they are actually keeping themselves relatively close, but it's only one good engage from Wet that actually ends the game, right? They've already cracked open an inhibitor turret. They don't need to take all these extra structures, whereas Cloud9, any fight that they take, unless it's around the Elder Dragon, is probably too far away from any of the structures of Wet for them to get more than maybe one turret, so they're realistically about 2 fights away from actually having an opportunity to win.
Yeah, 2's a lot bigger than 1.
It is twice as big, in fact.
2 times 100% as big. Anyway,
yes.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, big discrepancy there. Still shoving down this mid. It seems like Music Boy also has to be constantly attended here. Doesn't want to be the target of a Nexus's deadly hook. Once Week also just shadowing around here. He's the one primarily clearing these waves. They finally are sending Charu off to do some other things, given how strong he is individually. I think the name of the game, though, Wet's just trying to take this slow. They want to establish further vision around Baron, really not give anything up here and focus on the Worm.
Oh, a Nexus all by themselves, yeah. It is definitely a much slower pace than I would have expected based on the way that Wet has wanted to play so far. They've gotten a lot of the fights that they've wanted to take turned around, but they also have a situation where I think that they can just line up in Siege, right? You have a Blitzcrank. You have somebody who can create a lot of pressure every single time that 2 teams line up. It's just a matter of time before a Nexus lands a hook onto the right target. And Cloud9 have been so passive about a lot of these engages that it means that Wet are free to just kind of sit around and look for these fights. The only other thing that I feel like Cloud9 really has going for them is Jawa is actually a lot stronger at this point in the game than I think he realizes. He can actually start looking for these 1v1s, but again, you know, looking for a little bit more confidence from the rest of his team. If Gonza comes over, they take down Bacon Pancakes, that really sets them up for potential success. But do they have time for that when we already see Wet starting the Baron?
And this is the moment that they've been stalling for the entire time. Worm under assault once more. will be going down pretty quickly thanks to One Sweet. Cheeky Blinders, though. He's fast. He's running straight in. Shirelia's provides some more move speed, and Gons is here too. Nexus finds the hook, but how good will it be? Bacon Pancakes on the flank. He's exhausted. He's dealing a lot, but he's taking a lot too. Finds his way over the wall, ticks down with the Ignite. It's a double kill for iThrow Meep. Charu will move out. Doesn't want any more. This could potentially be fightable, though. Flashes over the stand aside, and it's an obliteration. Torn apart. Wet finds their fight. Charu. Oh, but look at the job she did it. So much damage, but it's not enough. Triple kill for Black Venom. It looked good for just a second, but now it's an ace coming in for Wet. They have the time to push for the end, I believe, but they just got to get this wave in.
They just got to get the wave through, and we'll see how confident they actually are at this spot. But Black Venom and Charu coming together with such a huge team fight towards the end of that, right? You saw that so many people were moving in and out of the fight. They weren't setting up the battle lines, but now with 30 seconds left before anybody responds, this should be What's game to win.
100%. This is it. Turrets get destroyed by Tristana like their paper. Nexus will be going down. And what a team fight to close out this game.
Yeah, Black Venom has really found their stride. I remember when they were coming in originally, I believe they were playing support, but they've moved around. There's been so many roster changes on Wet that it's hard to keep track of where they are, but this is a spot where Black Venom has really started to come into their own later on. They found a lot of the confidence, and they're not necessarily flipping games right off the bat. They're not putting themselves in a situation where the game can end so early, and they're really playing to the strengths of Charu in 1 week.
Yeah, wholeheartedly. They knew their win condition that game. No flips taken, which is exactly what they needed. Just needed to stay tight, outscale the Draven, outscale the Gnar there. So looking real good for Wet Team. And unfortunately for the Cloud9 fans, maybe you guys will have your chance next week. But stay strong, stay believing. You know, they got good hearts. Yeah, that's gonna be doing it for us today. Moving over.
Staying up tonight and I'm all alone. Feeling okay, then you hit my phone. Saying, babe, wanna meet up. I'm in the club, but I'm done now. Can I come up? Saying, of course, you can come by. I don't know why, but you're sunshine. Oh, you're alright. Oh, you're alright. I'm gonna shut my mouth when you say what's on your mind. I can see the pain in your eyes. First I'm left, then I'm right. Don't know how to keep on calm. Baby, don't you tell your lies. Let me say thank you for all this time, babe. I've been living every time I could call you mine. I don't know why I'm being the one feeling stupid.
Hello everyone, welcome back. We are here after our final game, an absolute banger, another 40 minutes between Team Cloud9 versus Team Wet Team. It was a beautiful performance, however, in the end, Team Wet Team came out on top, and I've just got to ask you, Ed, before I start, after all these games, there seems to be 30 to 45 minutes between all you doing. Why do you hate my schedule?
Honestly, Ryan, it's just that I love you. I want to stay with you long as I can.
Alright, I see, just a fan of the screen time. But, well, anyway, I'm glad that I got you here on the desk. We weren't able to interview you guys the first week, so it's good to have you here. Let's go ahead and start with talking about a little bit about your guys' draft, and kind of like the champions you seem to wanted to peek out, you know, especially with you coming into aiding carry, and then we also have Nexus having their debut on their Blitzcrank. What was some of your guys' thoughts coming into the draft?
I think we just thought as simple as possible. Just pick what we're most comfortable with, because we are moving the roster quite a bit, especially in bot lane. I know Lima wanted to get the Amumu, but problem is they banned it out, so we just had to go with the next best option after that. And I didn't feel like they were going to pick Mordekaiser, but since we saw that ban it out, we want to like steal their Aatrox from them, and that's really it.
Fair enough. I kind of like the way that played out. Like you said, you had some switch-ups, and one of those being Black Venom started in the support role, now moving to the jungle. Had a pretty weak start, if we're going to be honest. However, this game he seemed to absolutely show up. Had a lot more impact in these team fights, especially in that last one where he had the flash in the 3v5 into the Baron, picking up a triple kill for himself. So, as far as your team dynamic, how's it been, you know, being able to have that growth, and how you guys kind of like making that happen as a team outside of, you know, your game matches?
I think what everyone says, if you want to just get better at the game, just keep on playing. And, you know, we always do VOD reviews after our matches, especially the ones we lose. And we are a little bit hard on each other, but at the end of the day, we're just trying to just fix our mistakes and just try to improve. I mean, today was a little scrappy, but we got the dub, so how can I complain?
Absolutely, you did get the dub. I can't disagree with that. You are now ending week 3-3-3. Not too bad. If you noticed anything, you seem to really like to win on Fridays. You just guys have a certain ritual you do on Friday as opposed to Thursday, or what's that about?
I think we're just more excited for the weekend. Thursday is just part of the weekday, and we're just feeling meh. Why? But Friday we have something to live for.
For sure. A weekend buff is nothing to play with, but you know you'll have a lot of time in the off week before we hit, you know, the fourth week before we finish out the first round, the round robin, where you'll be taking on your final opponent in the first round, which will be I swear I do my research every once in a while. PTP. So you'll be going back at them, which you had a face-off against them in season 2. How are you gonna feel going into that?
You know, they 2-0'd us back in season 2. I think it's our turn to return the favor.
Fair enough. I'm liking what I hear from that. And you know, Ed, I gotta ask you, how excited are you when we're looking forward into Mythic next week?
I mean, shoot, how excited I am to see Mythic again. I mean, I get to see Geico. That's cool. Yubi, I think Yubi will be a really fun one to watch. They dominate Heroic, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna, you know, recreate what they did in the past 3 seasons in Mythic. They would be the team to watch. Man, BBZ, I'm happy to see them again. My boys, Spencer and Richard, they're there. Ben's there. Dax, Mazuza. That's a team I like to watch and see them dominate the league.
So are you saying that BBZ is gonna be number 1?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, just UV, but like, you know, my boys, I'm cheering for them.
No, you can't get out. You gotta tell me who's gonna win, BBZ or UV then?
Ah, goodness, can you give me like $50 and I'll just tell you BBZ?
Okay, that's a check the PayPal accounts later kind of thing. Alright, Ed, well, thank you so much for your time here. That's going to do it for us here at the end of Heroic Week 3. Go ahead and check us back next week to see how the first round concludes next week, or you can also check us out on the Friend of Heroic Connect, the FOF Lounge. Join the Discord, talk to these wonderful players, and interact with them, or join us for Mythic, where you heard all of our wonderful casters, including Joshi and Ultravox. They'll also be going at it starting next week on Mondays and Tuesdays, 4:30 p.m. Pacific time to 8:30. We'll catch you then. Have a great night.